All right, so the next period is the late 80s, leading up to 86 to 1990. Who are some of your players you remembered, and what are some of the memorable games?
Okay, those guys now, we had Chenjerai, Chambara, who was our big star playmaker. We only had one big kid, and that was Jonathan Denga. Now, my best story about Jonathan isn't actually on the basketball court. I was building my house, and those guys all came over, Justice and Jonathan, and the whole gang. And they came over to help me to put my roof on.
Okay.
And we had these huge gum poles that we had to hoist up onto the roof. And one of them was a monster of a thing. And Jonathan, being our big tough guy and everything, was so kind of macho and all that. I mean, he became an international model for
yes.
Coca-Cola and all that and everything. But a big, good-looking guy. Well, Jonathan, all the kids then said, you can't pick up that log, that pole. You can't even pick up one end of it.
Okay.
John said, watch. So he goes over to that log and he goes, and nothing happened. That pole did not even raise 1 centimeter. And I mean, everybody, I just remember the good time, everybody laughing so hard and everything. Now that group of kids, what they did was they built my roof for me.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, the girls were all out there, the girls team, and they were cooking a big chicken braai thing so that everybody had lots of food that day and everything. We had a kind of the old-fashioned American barn building, That's what we had for my house with the whole basketball fraternity and everything. It was great, good fun.
Okay.
But yeah, they were a very strong team. They did not achieve the national level competitions that others did for a very simple reason, and that's I didn't let them go.
Why?
They would win their competitions over and over again, but I just didn't let them go. They had become too basketball crazy.
Okay.
And the competitions were moved right into the middle of our final examinations. And it just wasn't suitable for the kids to study properly. I just remember, an example would be these kids I would get from Mr. Marima, the boarding master. I would have him come to me in the morning and give me a basketball. And he would say, I'm really getting annoyed because I collected this ball from these kids at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
The moon was out full and they were out under the moon playing basketball and stuff like that.
Wow.
You hear what I'm saying? So it was clear that no, it was not working the right way. Now, I've never had that happen with the girls' sides. The girls' sides, I have always felt that sport has been even more valuable to the girls than to the boys. Our girls' sides have always had numbers of incredibly intelligent and high-achieving academically players taking part. They get a confidence out on the court that just carries them forward in the classroom in a really good way. The boys, there's always the threat that their confidence can get a bit too high and they start getting cocky and, I don't need to study anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that kind of thing. So anyway, we would, year after year, we would have really big competitions. But we were we just didn't allow our teams to go forward.
Okay.
Probably the most outstanding was the finals, 1988, somewhere around there, where it was held at Hartzell.
Okay.
And 2 weeks before that, Mutare Boys High had beaten us. They had thrashed us.
This is 92.
It was 92.
92.
Oh, okay.
Just pause on that one. I'm gonna come to that one.
Oh,
because
okay.
I know, Nyanhanda will never forgive me if I don't ask that. I'm coming up to that question. That's a couple of years ahead. Okay. So can you set the record straight on one thing I've heard for years, that you would go to speak to the teachers to check on the grades of all the players, and if the players were not performing well, maybe you wouldn't let them practice, or if you did let them practice, you did not allow them to play the game.
They were out. They
Okay.
were out of the team. They could not come to practice or play in games until the following mark order, when they would then get their next grades. They were out.
Okay.
And we enforced that a number of times with a number of the youngsters.
Yeah, I remember when I started in Form 1, 91, I was so terrified to let my grades slip because I knew I could never play basketball.
Yeah.
That's a rule that I heard coming in. And I also remember that 91 team, it's the first time I'd ever seen a rebound, an outlet pass, and a dunk within 3 to 5 seconds. I'd never seen that before. And to us, Chambara, from my stream, Jonathan Deng, Justin Mushayabasa, these guys were just like gods, just unbelievable. Now, on the girls' side, can you talk more? I remember player Dain Magodo on the girls' side. I know she was a sprinter, but can you talk more about the girls' teams then?
Dain is actually, here in the States.
Okay.
She came to the States on a basketball scholarship, and she went through university, and she's now married with a couple kids. Her mom's here and everything. I think they live in Carolinas somewhere.
Okay, wonderful.
Somewhere down there, yeah.
Okay.
I talked to her about 5-6 years ago and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, she was there because of her athleticism.
Okay.
And she could just outrun everybody, outjump everybody. She was a really great player. She was the kind of paramount player of that generation.
Okay.
They went on and everything. Good fun to watch.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Then the next year, 1992, this is the year when Mutare Boys Eye had all the giants, and Hartzell had the shorter, smaller team. Tell us about that year in '92.
Well, that was our midgets out there now against. There was Nanchito, there was Solo, there were these guys from Boys High.
Godfrey King.
Now Godfrey was the playmaker. He was the shorty of that team, but yeah, he'd play out at the top. And these guys were really big. It was now like us playing against ourselves, 10 years earlier or 8 years earlier when we had all the height. So they had terrific height. But what they then did was, I think they got a bit, we had our regular league competition, and in the league competition they beat us by like 50 points. And the way that they beat us was they just closed the middle, and we could not drive in there. Any person that drove inside just had the ball slammed right down their throat. So we said, okay. After that game, we said we've got 2 weeks for the finals, for the provincial finals now. We're going to meet these guys again. This time, we have to be able to now work around that size inside. So we started that game where we'd had Farayi and Munyaradzi, all these guys had now, all they had done for the 2 weeks between that one game and now the finals was just sit there and shoot 3-pointers. They had to score 100 3-pointers every day. If they didn't score 100 of them, then we did not allow them to play.
Okay.
Or to do quick. They had to just keep shooting. So they became very efficient. at their shooting. We then went out there on the court against Boys High, and within 2 minutes we had hit 5 straight three-pointers and they had scored. And then we were playing a combination of a full court man-to-man and a full court press, so that we took them completely away from the basket, so they could never set up their big men in under the basket. Now, we were always attacking the ball way out away from the basket. And they had scored 1 point on a free throw.
Wow.
And otherwise we were 15 up. And we needed it, because the big thing that happened was then they left the closing inside and they came out to our 3-point shooters.
Okay.
And once they came out, it opened up now the whole game, so it was now much more even. Didn't matter that they were so much taller than we were.
Okay.
We then went on, and by almost the end of the game, they had caught up with us. And we would come back and we would, we'd steal a ball on the full court press and we'd manage to score. That's the way we mainly had to score, was a quick steal and a quick basket. Set up play, it was very difficult for us now because they were just so much bigger than we were. But yeah, with then seconds to go, we were 1 point ahead. And in fact, I think this was in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. And we were 1 point ahead with seconds to go. And